Well, keeping our focus on that development, the SGF and the DG of NIA, we're going to go to Abuja now, and Mark will do us the honors. But while you're at that, perhaps we should also start with asking Mr. Adesina, tell us then, who's the presidency?
I think you already took that right out of my mouth, Chamberlain. Just permit me to introduce him properly. We have with us Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. I hope I got that right.
You did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you heard Chamberlain's question. Perhaps we should start from there. Who is the presidency?
And it takes me back to school days when we were taught rhetorical questions. And what we were told was that rhetorical questions don't need an answer. So I just see that as a rhetorical question.
No, I don't think it's a rhetorical question, Mr. Adesina, because the thing is this, you issued this statement. I'm sure a lot of people would have seen it making the rounds. You say President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered an investigation into allegations of violation of law and due process made against the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. David Babachir Lawal, in the award of contracts under the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast. And, you know, you were the one who issued that statement. Yes. You said President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes.
But then oftentimes, you know, people use the word presidency as a loose term when they're not referring to the president personally.
But, you know, there are certain things you can't do unless it has the buy-in of the president. There are certain things you dare not do.
Well, not even when the vice president is in acting capacity?
But he's not currently in acting capacity.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, if he's in acting capacity, then his media aide will issue the statement.
I understand that, yes. But you said there are certain things that you dare not do without the buy-in of the president.
Yes, if the president is the one that is running the country, then everything you do, particularly some key things, must have his buy-in.
But when we say the presidency sometimes,
yes.
Who do we refer to?
Well, I must return that to the media, because most times when anybody talks, it could even be a presidential aide. They attribute it to presidency. So it's a media issue.
Presidency is a media issue?
Yes. I mean, attributing everything, even a personal assistant to the president, when he does something, tweets something, or post anything on Facebook, they say presidency. I don't think it should always be done like that every time.
Sometimes I look and I wonder, but you're part of this constituency, are you not?
Yes, I am.
So, Buhari, when you say it's a media thing,
it is.
Is it a good media thing or a bad media thing?
If I was actively in the media, I would probably do the same thing. That's why I said it's a media
So
thing.
On the other side now, looking at, you know, that particular term, do you think that, you know, it's been rightly or wrongly used?
I just understand what is being done. I understand why it is being used. I know it's a media way of doing things.
So do you think that question of who is the presidency, was it appropriate?
Yeah, one I've said is a rhetorical question, and rhetorical questions don't necessarily demand answer. But then if we must get an answer to that question, then we must get it from the SGF.
Why?
Because he asked it.
Okay. It doesn't look like I'm going to get far with this, but you know, let's face the meat of the matter.
Okay.
The president, according to your statement, has ordered the suspension of the SGF and also the DG of NIA, and also set up a committee to investigate, you know, certain matters. Now, people are asking. I mean, this DG NIA issue is a very recent one, and perhaps, you know, to solve the mystery, there's been a committee set up. But then there are issues as to why these two matters have been lumped together. The issue of the SGF came up since December last year, and we're only beginning to see any action asking the SGF to step aside in April. Why is that?
Well, there's a saying that a matter is not fully settled until it has been permanently settled. You will notice that the SGF matter had been running, and is in the interest of so many people and interests that it be permanently settled. One is in the interest of the SGF himself. This is a man who has had a career, who has made a name as an engineer, and then he came to serve his country, and that matter has been running and running. It's in his interest that it's finally settled and properly settled. Then it's in the interest of the electorate that voted this government. This government campaigned on many planks: securing the country, anti-corruption, reviving the economy. Therefore, the electorate wants the matter permanently settled.
So why was it left running for so long? That's the question.
So long is relative. It's relative. You remember that there was the resolution from the Senate that he be removed, and then the president replied and said, no, due process was not followed. And after that,
a statement which a lot of people felt was not the business of the president as at that point in time.
No, because the Senate wrote the president.
Exactly, yeah. Because the Senate, you did not say the committee, the Senate wrote the president, and what came out of the letter that the Senate received was a breakdown of them not following their own processes. A lot of people felt that that was not appropriate, because the Senate had passed the resolution to send that letter to the president. So the majority already had the day in sending that letter, and they felt that what ought to have been done was that when the president received the letter, he ought to have suspended or asked him to step aside for investigations to be carried out.
Well, like you said, it's a feeling. A feeling may not necessarily be right. And don't forget that the president, as I've told you before, he is a man who does things after really considering all sides of the coin. He is a man who takes his time, who errs on the side of caution. When the president came...
When it comes to... I mean, you did hear, the reaction of the senators to that. You say he's a man who takes his time, but they're going to say he only takes his time when it concerns those around him.
It's not true. In everything, and he too has said it. When he came 32, 33 years ago, he was 42 years. And you know how he did things. He did things like a young man. But now he's 74, and he does things like an old man that he is. Sees all sides of the coin, hears all sides of the argument, and painstakingly